Have you ever lived in the same house with someone and still felt utterly, completely alone? That was my reality for an entire agonizing month. My name is Jason Myers. I'm 38 years old, and I work in commercial real estate here in Temecula, California. I've always been the type of man who handles his problems quietly. I don't believe in yelling. I never raise my voice. And I absolutely refuse to play childish games. But my wife, Megan, she operates from a completely different playbook altogether. We've been married for 7 years. We've had our share of rough patches, just like every other couple, but we always managed to find our way back to each other. Until this last time. It all ignited over something that seemed so trivial, so stupid in the grand scheme of things. I had to cancel a dinner she had planned with her friends because a major client from Arizona urgently needed a late Zoom call. It was a $3.2 million negotiation for a strip mall deal near Phoenix. This was important work. I assumed Megan, of all people, would understand the pressure. But she didn't. Not at all. I came home that night braced for some frustration, maybe the usual cold shoulder for a few hours. Instead, I was met with absolutely nothing. No, how was your call? No, are you hungry? Not even a sarcastic, biting remark. She walked past me in the hallway as if I were a ghost, completely invisible. And that was only the beginning. The next morning, there was no coffee waiting. No, good morning. Just her brushing by me again with that chilling, blank expression, like I was a stranger who had wandered into her home. I kept telling myself it would blow over in a day or two. It never did. We continued sleeping in the same bed, but it felt like a prison cell. There was no conversation, no gentle touch, not even a glimpse of eye contact. She would get in, roll over, and face the wall. I would lie there for hours, staring at the ceiling fan, wondering if this was a punishment or if something fundamental between us had shattered beyond repair. During the first week, I tried everything to fix it. I made her coffee just the way she likes it. Almond milk, 1.5 Splendas. I left it on the counter for her. She let it sit there until it was stone cold. I sent her a text. "Can we please talk?" There was no reply. I even went so far as to offer a date night at the Golden Vine, our favorite downtown restaurant. She flatly said, "I'm busy." No fight, no raised voice, just this impenetrable, deafening silence. And the thing about silence is that it grows louder and heavier with each passing day. By the second week, something inside me fundamentally shifted. I just stopped trying. I started waking up early, hitting the gym in Murrieta, grabbing a smoothie at Nectar, and heading to the office before dawn. I stayed late, filled my calendar with client lunches, and even took on extra residential listings just to keep my mind occupied. I stopped waiting for her to speak first. I stopped trying to decipher her thoughts. For the first time in weeks, I felt like I could breathe again, like I could finally focus on myself. At night, she'd sit curled on the couch watching Netflix, her arms tightly crossed, pretending I didn't exist. I finally started sleeping in the guest room. I didn't announce it. I just took my pillow and left. The bed was colder, but the atmosphere was honest. By the third week, a hard truth hit me with staggering force. I wasn't even mad anymore. I wasn't hurt or confused. I was just done. You know that pivotal moment when you stop begging for peace and finally start embracing the quiet? That was me. She didn't seem to notice. Or maybe she just didn't care. It was the same blank stare, the same tight-lipped expression, as if she were doing me a favor by merely occupying the same space. Sometimes I'd come home from work to find a single takeout container on the counter, food she had ordered just for herself. No leftovers for me, no note, nothing. People think yelling is the worst thing. They're wrong. Indifference is a far deeper cut, and that's what she gave me, around the clock. By the fourth week, I didn't even flinch. I began having dinner out, sometimes at the Buffalo Wild Wings near Jefferson Avenue. Other times, I'd just sit at a diner counter with my AirPods in, listening to podcasts about real estate flipping. Hell, I even started journaling again. It felt good to reconnect with myself. Meanwhile, Megan's life appeared completely untouched. She was still active on Instagram, posting morning vibes and Sunday resets with beautifully staged photos of candles and neatly folded laundry. It was all a facade, but a convincing one to anyone who didn't live in our silent house. One night, it's etched in my memory, I came home around 9 p.m. after finalizing a lease deal in Carlsbad. She was on the phone with her sister out on the patio, laughing. A real, carefree laugh. She looked beautiful, but in that moment, she didn't look like my wife anymore. That night, lying in the guest bed, scrolling through my calendar, it finally crystallized for me. She wasn't going to talk. She wasn't going to apologize. And for the first time in years, I was perfectly okay with that. I was changing, silently and internally. I stopped being so available. I stopped checking her social media. I stopped hoping for a reconciliation. The man I was becoming didn't need validation from a woman who treated him as an afterthought. I was building a new foundation for myself. And whether she noticed or not, I was no longer the man she had married. Let me be perfectly clear, I didn't hate her. I had simply stopped waiting for her to love me correctly. She believed her silence would teach me a lesson, and perhaps it did, just not the one she intended. It taught me how to stand on my own 2 feet. It taught me to stop chasing comfort and start chasing a real purpose. It taught me that simply sharing a roof is not the same as sharing a connection. That whole month felt like an intense, emotional rehabilitation. And the real turning point, the moment that would flip everything on its head, was still to come. It would take just one phone call, one fragment of a conversation she would overhear, for her entire attitude to shatter. But by the time it happened, it would already be far too late. I was no longer the man hoping she'd come back. I was the man she could no longer reach. It happened on a Tuesday. I've always disliked Tuesdays. They're not close enough to the weekend to feel hopeful, yet not fresh enough in the week to feel motivated. But this particular Tuesday was different. I had just finished my second coffee and was on my laptop finalizing a market analysis for a client in Hemet. Megan was upstairs. We were still entrenched in that pathetic routine, floating past each other like two ghosts haunting the same hallways. That morning, she walked into the kitchen, grabbed her car keys, and left without a single word. No goodbye, no offer to get anything. Just the slam of the door behind her, a sound that screamed, I didn't exist. And I just sat there, not angry, not sad, just numb. Because when someone gives you the silent treatment for that long, you eventually understand they're not punishing you. They're showing you their true character. Then, at 11:23 a.m., my phone lit up. An unknown number from Dallas, Texas. I almost dismissed it as spam, but I answered. Hello, is this Jason Myers? A woman's voice asked. This is Brenda Collins from Alamo Grove Commercial Investments. Your contact, Matthew Donahue, passed along your information. We're seeking a partner for a major development in Austin. Do you have a minute? In an instant, my entire pulse changed. I stepped into the guest room and closed the door. Brenda was all business. She dove into details about a multi-unit commercial plaza in South Austin, right next to a booming residential area. They were fully funded and needed an expert on SoCal commercial trends to lead the design and leasing. And they wanted me. This wasn't just another deal. It was an open door to a new future. She had reviewed my projects in San Bernardino and Redlands and was impressed with how I'd scaled the cap rates. She mentioned flying me out the next week, all expenses paid, for a 2-day strategy summit. And here's the crucial part. I didn't notice at first, but Megan had come home. I heard the faint creak of the floorboards outside the door, and then I felt that distinct pause, the heavy stillness of someone listening intently. I kept talking, not raising my voice to make a point, but speaking with the calm confidence of a man with nothing to hide. Because I didn't. I'll review the proposal and get back to you by Thursday, I told Brenda. Let's aim for that Monday flight. If we lock this in, I can bring serious leasing power to your tenant mix. I have anchor contacts in healthcare and finance. Let's make this happen." She laughed, a sound of genuine appreciation. "That's the confidence we like to hear." "Talk soon, Jason." I hung up, and I knew. Right then, she had heard enough. About 10 minutes later, I walked out, calm and centered. Megan was in the kitchen, but this time her demeanor was completely different. She turned and gave me a look I hadn't seen in a month. It wasn't cold or distant. It was softer, uncertain. "Were you on the phone?" she asked, her tone casual, as if we'd been chatting all morning. I simply nodded. "Yeah, business." She bit her lip, a nervous habit of hers. "Sounded important," she ventured. I just grabbed a glass of water. She stood there, awkward, not knowing what to do with her hands. She was wearing that navy blouse she only puts on when she wants to feel attractive, without seeming like she's trying too hard. Then came the classic line, the pivot. "If you need any help getting ready for your meeting or whatever, just let me know, okay?" And just like that, weeks of punishing silence were supposed to be erased. No apology, no admission of fault. Just a complete about-face the second she sensed I was no longer the husband begging for scraps of affection, but a man with his own momentum. For the rest of the day, she hovered. She asked what I wanted for dinner, and even offered to make her famous chicken pesto pasta, which she hadn't cooked in months. She asked if I needed my clothes steamed for the trip. She sat near me on the couch while I watched CNBC, not talking, just being there. And the funny part? A small part of me was curious to see how far she would go now that she felt her control slipping away. That night, she walked into the guest room holding one of my freshly cleaned dress shirts. "I ironed this for you, for your trip," she said. I looked up, and for the first time in a long time, I saw it clearly in her eyes. Fear. Not fear of me, but a deep-seated fear of her own growing irrelevance. She wasn't scared I would leave. She was terrified that I had already left emotionally. She placed the shirt on the bed, lingered, and then whispered, "I miss you." The words were so quiet they barely escaped her lips. For a second, my chest tightened, not from a surge of love, but from the sheer clarity of the moment. The woman who had punished me with silence for 30 days was now offering ironed shirts and sympathy. Not because she realized she had hurt me, but because she realized I possessed something she didn't want to lose. Opportunity, independence, emotional leverage. She didn't miss me. She missed the version of me that provided for her. And right then, I smiled. Not on the outside, but deep on the inside. For the first time, I held the power. The following days felt like watching a performance. She cooked more, dressed with more care, started texting me again. "Want me to pick anything up from Whole Foods? Don't forget to send me your flight details. I'm so proud of you." The same woman who wouldn't acknowledge my existence 2 weeks prior was now in full-blown wife mode, but I didn't revert to the old version of myself. I didn't move back into our bedroom. I didn't invite her on the trip. I didn't engage in the small talk that would make her feel she had won me back. I remained polite, but emotionally detached. One night while we were watching TV, she tested the waters. "Maybe when you get back, we could go to the Goat and the Vine, just the two of us," she suggested. I nodded and said, "Maybe." And I meant it. Maybe. Because now I saw the situation with perfect clarity. She came back when she saw the value I held. Not because she missed who I was, but because she was afraid of who I was becoming without her. And that told me everything I needed to know. Sometimes the most powerful statement you can make isn't with words. You don't yell, you don't argue, you don't try to prove a point. You simply get up, pack your bags, and go live your life. And that's exactly what I did. The Monday after the Dallas call, I flew to Austin. It was an early 6:40 a.m. flight out of Ontario. I didn't ask Megan to drive me. I didn't even tell her my departure time. I ordered an Uber the night before. I laid my blazer on the guest room chair, packed my laptop, my sharpest dress shirts, and even that cologne she had given me for our anniversary 2 years prior, the one she hadn't complimented in ages. I left a note on the kitchen counter. It wasn't romantic or bitter, just efficient. Gone for the business trip, back Thursday night, don't wait up. That was it. Stepping outside at 5 a.m., the air was cool and peaceful. I stood for a moment looking at our house, the one we bought together 6 years ago, full of so many dreams. And for the first time, it felt like just a structure, a shell of a past life. Inside, I was already gone. Landing in Austin felt like stepping into my own skin, a new, empowered skin. The city buzzed with an energy I craved. I checked into a downtown Hilton, a clean room with a big window and a desk perfect for my ambition. That afternoon, I met Brenda and the investors at a rooftop bar overlooking Lady Bird Lake. The meeting wasn't just good, it was electric. We talked numbers, growth, strategy. They respected me. They listened. They needed me. And the whole time, one thought echoed. Megan has no idea who I've always been. She stopped seeing me when I became predictable. When I was home every night, making her tea when she had cramps, folding laundry without being asked. All my kindness had become background noise to her, until money and opportunity entered the room. Then, suddenly, I mattered again. But the version of me that mattered to her, the provider, was no longer available. Because I now understood a deeper truth. She didn't miss me. She missed what I could do for her. On the second day, she texted, "How's the hotel? You like Austin? Let me know if you need anything. Thinking of you." I left it on read. I was at a seafood bar, eating oysters with executives, laughing over bourbon and business stories. These were people who valued partnership and respect. I finally felt like I belonged again. Later, I replied, "Everything's good. I'll update you when I'm back. Hope you're okay." Neutral, polite, cold. That message, I knew, would hit her harder than any argument. The night before my return flight, my phone rang. Not a text, a call. From her. I watched it ring, then I declined it. I turned off the phone, took a long, hot shower, and sat on the edge of the bed in a plush hotel robe, a glass of whiskey in my hand, and just breathed. The silence that once caused me so much pain now felt like my greatest strength, because this time, I was the one choosing it. When I landed back in California on Thursday night, she was home. The kitchen light was on. I walked in, dropped my bag, and she was already there, waiting by the counter with a hopeful, fragile smile and 2 plates of reheated pasta. "Are you hungry?" she asked. I just shrugged. I ate on the plane. She sat down, her eyes searching my face desperately for any sign that she still had a place in my world. "How was the trip?" "It was good," I said. "Productive." "You seem different," she observed. I looked at her, not with anger, but with absolute clarity. "I am." She didn't know how to respond. She shifted in her chair, bit her lower lip as if fighting back tears. She tried to talk about our favorite TV shows. I didn't engage. She mentioned how much she missed sleeping next to me. I nodded but made no move to bring my things back. "You've changed," she said, her voice trembling. My reply was simple. I had to. Over the next week, she tried everything. She planned elaborate meals, complimented my clothes, laughed too hard at my jokes, asked about wine nights on the patio. One night, she even tried to kiss me as I walked past her in the hallway. I turned my face away. "I'm not there anymore, Megan." She froze. "What do you mean?" "I mean the version of me who waited for your attention. He's gone. The man who tiptoed around your moods. He's moved on. You made silence our language. Well, now I speak it fluently." She blinked, utterly stunned. The woman who once controlled the emotional temperature of our home had lost her grip on the thermostat. The silence she had wielded as a weapon was now her prison. A week later, Brenda called again. They wanted to extend the partnership to another city. This time, I didn't even tell Megan. She found out by glancing at the calendar on our hallway corkboard. "Are you flying out again next month?" she asked one morning, her voice thin. "Yeah." "With who?" "The team from Dallas." She looked down, swallowed hard, and then whispered the question that revealed she still didn't understand. Can I come with you this time?" That was the moment it became crystal clear. This isn't a vacation, Megan. I know. I'd love to support you. I stepped past her, picked up my car keys, and said the truest thing I had said all year. I didn't need support when you were punishing me with your silence. I needed a partner. And that wasn't you. She started to cry, right there in the kitchen. I didn't yell. I didn't comfort her. I didn't deliver some dramatic farewell. I just walked out the door. Because when a man finally chooses peace after enduring chaos, there is simply no going back. And in that moment, I was finally completely at peace.